playing shields in TTRPGs suck. Like, I feel like every TTRPG, the shield guy is just, I get a little bit more defense, right? So we are not going to do that. We have a very different and active take on what being a shield player is, or shield character is. So what exactly is Sentinel Mastery, AoE?
So, I mean, like what you mentioned, so in other TTRPG, shields are actually not usually used as a weapon, but in AoE, right, our design philosophy here is actually it is a valid is not really correct word, but it's a valid weapon. So hence it has its own like mastery skills and stuff like that. So that includes like action that you can specifically do with shields when you equip a shield.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shields are considered weapons in AoE, so they come with they're classified as a weapon. So if something were to say to use a weapon, the shield actually counts as a weapon itself, which means that if you are a radiant character and you want to radiant smite someone, you can technically radiant smite someone with your shield. It does work. So let's take a quick look at all of the overview of what a Sentinel Mastery is going to be. So we're going to go through all of this stuff here. So I'll go through them in detail later. I'm just going to put them up on the screen first. So Sentinel Mastery, this is a description. As always, these descriptions and all these cutouts are from the rulebook itself. The wording may not be final because they may be like typos and we're still doing editing and stuff like that. But generally, this is what the rulebook looks like. It's going to be a little bit blue and it's going to be laid out in this way with certain tables and stuff like that. So yes, the Sentinel Mastery here, there'll be examples, there's a list of skills, there's ranks and things like that, right? And so there are 5 skills as well. So now I'm going to jump over to this version here. All right. So, right, here. All right. So let's take a look at the description of the Sentinel Mastery that is inside the rulebook, right? You become an impregnable fortress, charging through the fray, protecting allies and denying enemies their blows with ease. Right, the Mastery in Sentinel is about protecting both yourself and your allies with high armor, specifically armor, right, and reactive skills, allowing you to take damage on their behalf, along with the ability to charge down an enemy while reflecting projectiles and certain other attacks, right? So of course, if you're going to fight with a shield, yeah, you're going to need a shield, right? So Sentinel skills, as all of our masteries in AoE in the basic set, has 5 skills, right? These do not have to be linear in terms of rank. They can go like, in this case, is 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, which means that you can choose between them or you can pick both of them up. That's up to you, right? So our rank system, every time you level up, and at level 1 you gain 3 points, but every time you level up you gain a single point and you can put your points into whatever mastery you want, right? Up to 3 core masteries. So we have shields up, intervention, shield charge, payback, and ballistic defense. So those are our mastery skills that are available for the basic set, right? And so here are some examples of mastery combinations that are available with the Sentinel. We have gone through this with all of our masteries, and as always, these are suggestions. These are not like they're builds, but they're not classes, right? They're not presets. You don't have to pick them, right? So the first one is usually just focusing on the mastery by itself, and the second one is an interesting take that is possible within AoE, right? So the first one is a shield bearer. Just Sentinel and heavy armor, like full armor. You're not evading shit. You just wanna protect everything, right? So heavily armored warrior, solely armed with a massive shield, right? And your presence is a bulwark of defiance, absorbing the fury of enemies to protect allies. So you just have a shield, right? You're just wearing armor. You're just using shield skills and protecting your allies. And that's all you're doing, right? And the second one is the guardian, right? So the guardian is Sentinel, Radiance, and Light Armor. So we have gone through Radiance in a previous VOD. So if you want to check out what Radiance is, go ahead and watch the VOD later, right? And Light Armor is our in-between. So it's in between Cloth Armor and Heavy Armor. So we have Cloth, Light, Heavy. And Light, it has a little bit of protection and a little bit of evasion. So it's sitting right in the middle right there, right? So Light Armor is traditionally your leather armor and things like that, right? So Haven amidst a storm of war, leap between friends and foes, shield blazing like a comet to deflect blows, and defend allies with harm while healing them or protecting them, right? So another feature of light armor, or trait rather, is that it has a little bit more focus on mobility, right? Thus the thing here about, leaping between friends and foes and stuff like that. All right. Anything else?
So, for the basic set, we are releasing 5 skills lah. So when we go into future releases, maybe it'll be like more skills. So quite specifically for the basic set, we have a very specific ideal that we want to hit with the Sentinel stuff lah. So basically, what can shield do, as part of a support type character.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's like kind of the core like idea for the basic set one. So you will see that it reflects into some of the skills later lah.
Yes, but to emphasize, right, our philosophy of support is not the same as what other RPGs might be doing, which is that our philosophy is very active. We don't want supports where you just turn on everything and you stand next to your allies. Like, that's not fun. Well, it might be fun for some people, but that's not what we want to achieve with basically the skill system, right? We want active participation, and with that, most of your skills have to be active or reactive, right? They cannot be passive. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think on that point, right, I think so far we have only released like a singular passive skill, like among in like the mastery stuff. I remember it's very little, yeah.
Very few. I think
Very
there's
few.
like
Radiance
there's
only.
like repose and aura. I mean, repose is a reaction,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
so these are passive that change the way in which you play. The only passive skill we have right now is
The radiance.
radiance, and even that has a condition.
Yeah.
Right. You need your allies to be bloodied. So yep. With that, we're gonna move on to the very first skill. So as I mentioned just now, this is gonna be 0, 1, 1, 2, 3. So rank 0 will be the first skill that you pick up, right? And then rank 1 is like you can choose between them, or you can pick both of them up. It's up to you, and then maybe you can skip 2 and they get 3 or something like that. Because that's fully up to you. That's how you want to invest your mastery points. So let's get on to the very first skill. Turn this off, turn this on, back. So the first skill is shields up. And before we get into what it is, here's an example of what the cards look like. Right, this is not the card for shields up. This is just one of the cards. Because I'm using the same art as the mastery. So as always, AOA is based on, well, it's not based on cards, but it uses cards heavily, right? Because all of our skills and spells are designed to be fit into a card, thus saving as much space as possible, right? We're limiting ourselves with the amount of text we get in a card. So top left of the card is the type of card. Top right, the SP cost, right? So there's a stamina point cost. In the middle, the name. All of the tags are below. So you'll see this mirrored on the skill descriptions, and then the mastery cost. The bottom is the mastery point cost, right? The middle was the mastery rank, and then the effects in the middle. So let's get into it. What is shields up?
So shields up is the first skill that you get in the Sentinel Mastery, and it's a pretty basic skill lah. So we'll go through the text and stuff like that. So so in shields up case, it's an instant boon shield. So what this means is actually it's an instant use skill. And I think we have talked about this before. So but what instant means here, right, is you can use it at any point of time. So this means that you can use it on your turn, in between something like someone else's turn, or even during the enemy turn, like the NPC turn. And because AOA we run on in a single round there's 3 turns. So you have the player turn, the enemy turn, as well as scene turn.
Yeah.
So
that's one round.
correct.
Yeah.
So for instant skill, you can also use it in the scene turn.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can use it whenever.
Correct.
Basically, instant is instant. Like, you just want to do it, you just do it. Right.
It still costs SP as
Yes, it still costs SP.
So you still need to meet the requirements lah. Yeah.
Yep. And you don't recover you recover SP at the end of your turn. So in that case, if you use it on someone else's turn, then you are missing SP by the time it reaches back to your turn again in that round. Yeah.
Okay. So boon is just a buff, basically. A beneficial buff lah. Yeah.
Yes. So just to clarify, boon is not advantage, because there are some RPGs that use boon as advantage. Boon is not an advantage. Boon is just a buff.
Yeah. So because it also has its counterpart, which is Bane lah.
Yes,
so
which
I
is
think
also not disadvantage.
It's also not disadvantage.
Yes.
Yeah. So boon and Bane are just tags that we use, right?
Yep.
To let the players know that this is a buff very clearly.
That's right.
Yeah. But that is just basically most of our text where it's designed in a way where if you look at it, right, you are able to tell immediately what it does and what are the things that you'll be required lah.
Yep.
So that leads into the next one, which is shield. So this is part of the Sentinel Mastery lah.
Yes.
Yeah. So moving on, the skill type here is a technique, and the stamina point cost, I think like what you mentioned, it costs 1 stamina point. So AOA we run on a stamina point system lah. So you also have mentioned this, which at the end of every player's turn, you regain stamina up to your max lah. So for example, if you are at for level 1 and level 2, you're regaining up to 2, and 3 onwards you're regaining up to 3.
Yep.
Yeah. Then moving on. So this is level 0 mastery, basically Sentinel 0. So this is the first skill that you gain in the Sentinel mastery line. And the requirement here is wielding a shield, obviously.
Yep.
And MP cost, which actually mastery point cost, also known as the learning point cost, here is 1. So what it actually does is instant, you gain +2 armor to the start of your next turn. I don't think I have to explain much. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll explain a bit more on this, which is armor in AoA, right? We have 2 different distinct type of defenses. So we have armor and evasion. So armor in your other traditional TTRPGs, right, you usually combine these two into what they call the AC class. But in AoA, right, we decided to split it because it makes more sense and it gives more players the ability to specialize their character a lot more.
Yep.
So what it actually does is actually evasion is your traditional AC, where it's a meet and beat thing, where
it's just a target number.
You
roll, you hit it. That's
correct.
it.
However, armor works differently in that it's a flat reduction in a way. So for example, one example here is like if someone is doing 3 damage to you and you have 2 armor, you're taking only 1 damage.
Yeah, it is raw mitigation.
Correct.
So irregardless of damage type, armor reduces the damage by that amount. There are a few exceptions here, which is things like fall damage and burn damage and things that hit your internal, right? Like no armor is going to protect you from something happening on the inside. But generally, armor is a raw protection against everything. Yeah.
And I think like what you mentioned, which is like true damage and stuff like that, those are actually explicitly mentioned also. So it's clear enough to players. Yeah.
Yep.
So if you have armor, right? So how do you actually beat it? So we also have skills that like other mastery that gives you like armor penetration. And those will they will not reduce the armor you have, they will just ignore the armor that you have.
Yeah. We won't go through so much on armor penetration in this one because in the Sentinel Mastery, you're meant to utilize armor more, right? So we're not going to beat down the mastery here, right?
Correct, but this is just some extra information on
a little bit of background on that.
What is armor and stuff like that.
Right. So the fantasy of shields up is exactly like the name says. You put your shield up and then you gain a little bit of protection in that moment, right? So this is traditionally things like literally shield in D&D, right? Like the mage when you react and you cast a shield. So in this case, we wanted to give them a little bit of a more preemptive thing while also maintaining that ability to be reactive, right? We think that's very important that if you want to have a shield, yes, shields do provide passive armor as well as I think some different classes of shield, right? So we have cloth, light, heavy. In the same way, you can also have cloth, light, heavy shields, but they're not armors. They're just kind of like distinctions between base types, right? So with that, just pretend that you're using the baseline shield and the shield gives you 1 armor, right? So when you're using a shield, this can be wielded by anybody. You don't need a mastery to wield the shield. Anybody can wield the shield as long as you have an empty hand, right? So you wield a shield and you gain 1 armor by default, right? And now with shields up, what's allowing you to do is like, okay, I know I'm going to take damage in this next few seconds. I'm going to put my shield up and just reduce the damage by 2. Right, and at the same time, this also allows us to reactively, let's just say you're about to get hit by a fireball, you already failed your blast roll, which is our equivalent of a saving throw, right? You already failed it, you're going to take the damage already, right? So in that case, you can still spend a single SP, reduce the damage by 2. In the case of fireball, it will reduce it by 2 because there's no penetration, right? So you can still reduce it by 2, just like imagine you're getting blasted by the fire and you just block it, right? So that's kind of like the baseline fantasy that we have with the basic skill of the shield. This is your default. I just need to block and attack, right? Just that it doesn't actually block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does not do a full mitigation in that sense.
It mitigates, but it does not like deny.
Yeah.
Not yet. Not yet. Right. Okay. Anything else you want to add here? Okay, let's go on to the very next skill, which will be skill number 2, intervention.
So intervention here is a react shield. So this is react different from instant. React here is actually just a reaction. So this means that this skill,
as the name says,
as
right?
the name says.
Yeah.
But what it meant is actually it is triggered off. Like the trigger here is actually in the effect lah.
Yeah, it's a specific condition.
Correct.
So all reacts, the condition is stated.
Yeah. Correct. So skill type technique also, and the skill point cost here is also 1. Stamina point cost here is also 1. And this is a level 1 skill, which means you need to have at least a single point spent in the Sentinel Mastery, which is shields up.
Yep. So you've already learned shields up, you already know how to put up your shield.
Then after that, this is the it requires you to be wielding a shield, and the learning point cost or mastery point cost here is 1. Yeah. So what is actually the trigger for intervention? So is when a creature you can reach with your move action takes damage. So this means any creature. It does not mention like friendly or hostile creatures lah.
Yes.
Right. So when they take damage, you can move to the creature and take the damage instead. Quite simple, and this is basically intervention. It's like what the name means.
Yes. If you're familiar with Final Fantasy 14, the MMO, like as a paladin, yes, this is intervention. You are dashing there, you're gonna block the attack, right? But let's take a more in-depth look at what the effect is here, right? Because I think on first look, some people might think that, oh, this is when someone makes an attack and then I get attacked instead. But that's not quite true. The way that is worded here is that react when a creature you can reach with your move action. So this scales to your movement speed. Move action, in AoE, a move action is basically a 1 SP action that you can take. You have multiple SP, so you can take as many as you want. A move action is 1 SP, but in this case, your move action is free, right? So you move up to your movement speed. So if your movement speed is higher, you move more. If it's lower, you move less, right? When the creature takes damage, which means that
they have failed either their saving throw or
the enemy has struck them, right? So that means that this is after the roll. This is they're gonna get screwed already, right? And you can kind of like determine exactly how much damage they're gonna take if you're already familiar with the attack or the skill or the spell or whatever, right? So this is a very calculated move. It's meant to simulate this thing where, okay, like the shield guy knows like, oh shit, he's about to take a lot of damage, right? So in this very moment, I'm gonna charge. I'm gonna run over to him. I'm gonna block the attack on his behalf, right? So it's really channeling that kind of like a Captain America, like jumping in between your allies and the damage they're right about to take, right? And you don't the attack is not rolled against you, and you don't get to make a saving throw. You just take the damage, right? So there's no avoidance here. This is pure mitigation. This is raw mitigation. You're mitigating with your armor and your HP, which is your face.
Correct. So when you take the damage, right, you take it as if you have been successfully attacked.
Yeah.
So that means, right, if the damage that was going to your allies was, for example, 6 damage, right? And you have 3 armor, this means that when you use intervention and you block and you take the damage, basically, you are actually, it's also going to hit you against your armor. So that means that you're only taking 3 damage.
Yes, yes, that's right. It is mitigated by armor. This is not a case where, oh, because I'm taking on their behalf, it goes straight to my HP. No. That's not how this thing works, right? I think another interesting thing about the whole, the very fact that you're taking this damage on their behalf, right? It does count as whether something has struck you. Right, so you are taking on the attack. It's just that they're not rolling against you anymore, right? So if for some reason you have very high evasion and you want to intervene, you don't get to evade the attack because that's not how intervention works, right? You don't run in front of your ally and be like whoop, and then it hits your friend right there. So that's not how it works. Just to clarify on that, yeah. Okay, and that is the second skill. Right. I think the fantasy for this one is quite clear, right? It is a very active, it's reactive, and I think you'll start to notice this trend, which is that a lot of the shield skills are meant to be like, oh, like something's happening, I'm gonna go protect them. Something's happening here, I'm gonna to stop the enemy, right? It's meant to be active, it's meant to be mobile, right? Which is I think it's something a little bit different from a lot of traditional like shield heavy fighters, right? But if you think about it, like in like history or whatever, right? Okay, minus like the phalanx, right? The phalanx, totally separate concept, right? But imagine if you're like a gladiator or your fighter or warrior, right? Having a shield does not make you slow, right? It's a very like active movement where you are parrying and deflecting with your shield. Yes, you do block once in a while, but you're not gonna keep your shield up just like that unless you're in a phalanx. Right, because you're protecting the guy to your left, not just yourself.
That's only if they're still in formation.
Correct, that's only if you're in formation. Once you break formation, your shield is basically another weapon, right? You're going to smack them. So a lot of the focus on Sentinel Mastery is basically converting your shield into a weapon. Right, so how does that look?
That is also kind of the main design space that we are doing for the basic set. So in the future, right, when we release like more skills, more standard stuff, we might actually explore more into the heavy stuff, for example.
Yep. So we already kind of did for the bow, right? Which is the heavy equivalent of the bow, right? Compared to the typical like nimble acrobatic archer, right? So if you're interested, go check out that board, right? Okay, let's move on to the third skill, which is a little bit more complicated, right? So the third skill is shield charge. I think this is it's a classic for a lot of shield players, but let's take a look at what it is.
So shield charge here is a blast shield. So blast is a new thing in shield lah. So blast what it means is actually you are rolling the enemies are rolling against your attack.
Yep.
So basically it's in your more traditions a saving
Yeah,
throw
this is
lah.
basically a saving throw, yes.
Then what is this is a technique also, and the stamina point cost here is also 1. Requires one point invested in the Sentinel Mastery similar to intervention. Then you need to be wielding a shield, and the learning cost here is 1. So what it actually does is you move to a target you can reach with your move action and grapple or shove at no stamina point cost.
So grapple and shove, right? These are new terms that traditionally, yes, you might have heard about it in other RPGs, but grapple and shove is the default action that in this case it's combined here to activate with a single SP, right? So grapple and shove is this, right? So we'll get into that later. Let's continue the effect first.
Correct. So what it meant by no additional cost, right, is no stamina cost lah. So the cost is already spent in the shield charge. So what shield charge is in a very quick summary is, right, you are basically getting a free grapple and shove with your move.
Yeah, so it's basically a combo skill. Move, grapple, shove, right? So let's take a look at what grapple and shove itself actually is before we look at the entire thing, right? So grapple is a melee blast, which is why the shield charge has the blast tag, right? So grapple is a melee blast. It uses your might as your blast strength, right? So if you want to use this shield charge thing, you want some level of might, and if you don't, then perhaps intervention is your better option. Like don't pick up shield charge if you don't have no might, right? So you use this to restrain a creature. Restrain means they cannot move, right? And if the creature is no larger than one size above you, so if you're medium, you can do large, but you can't do huge. If you're large, you can do huge, but you can't do anything bigger than that, right? And if you're small, you can't do large, right? The creature is restrained until it breaks free or you let go, right? So what that means in practice is you run after someone, you try to grapple them, and then they make a saving throw against you, and if they fail, then you're restraining them, right? And then every round they can try and break free of that thing again, right? And for shove is a much more straightforward thing. Same thing, they try to resist you, and if you succeed, you push them back 5 feet, right? Same conditions, you're not allowed to shove a creature that's more than one size larger than you, right? So you can kind of imagine like the fantasy here, right? So shield charge, what does it mean? You run after someone, and then you either like hook onto them or you bash them away, right? The reason why we have grapple as an option is because more often than not, if you're going to charge to someone, you don't want them to move another 5 feet away from you, because then you're in melee range, but then you push them out of your melee range. So that was one of the reasons why we kept grapple in. But the main, the more intended purpose was actually for shove, right? So you're rushing, and you may have had an enemy that is like in a very bad position, or maybe you want to use your ally, right? Maybe your ally is in a very bad position, he has no SP, and you need to get him out of the way. So you can run after him and you can shove him out of the way, or you can shove your enemy out of the way. They both work, right? But do note this is not a reaction, it is not instant, right? It's a very active skill that you're doing on your turn.
So adding on to shove, the shove here, knocking back, right, does not do any other, it does not give like knock the target prone and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's just knock back.
Yes.
Right? There is no nothing tied to it. Yeah.
There's no like knockdown.
There's no damage.
That's different. There's no damage to this as well. Yeah. So it's a simple, because it's 1 SP, right? It's a, you're getting a free bonus ability with a move, essentially. So that's how we kind of balance this skill around it. But I think the fantasy of this one is I can see where people might want a damaging version, but I think that this is not that skill, right? If we were to do a damaging one, which we probably will look into in the future, right? It will look different from this. Trust me, it will definitely look different.
It will not be one. Okay, so for most of the masteries and most of the skills that we have designed so far, we are not intending to have like a shield charge +1.
Yeah,
we are not doing.
There's not going to be like an immediate, like a direct level up, right?
Yeah,
there will be different skills.
It will all be variants and stuff like that, but it will not be a direct upgrade. Yeah, so like what you mentioned, so if we decide to do a damaging version of shield charge, it will be like offense rush or something like bull rush, stuff like that. But and then the wording might be the same, where it's like remove the target and do something, but it's not the same skill. Yeah, so that's what we are aiming. We are reserving for most of our skills lah. Yeah. So that's why the fantasy and everything, right, is actually quite easy to grasp at the very start.
Yeah.
Because they're all designed with that in mind lah. Yeah.
I think also because we are designing all of these skills to be kind of like in bite-sized choices, so that when you are creating a character, you are not overwhelmed with information and choice, because there's a very real possibility of like choice paralysis, right?
Correct.
So we keep every skill simple and clear and straightforward, right? So when it comes to skills that may have like multiple options, you generally won't find them in AoA. Most skills are just, it is what it is, right? So that is what Shield Charge is, and that's what Grapple and Shove is. This is our third skill at this point, right? So is there anything else before we move on?
Actually, yeah, there's nothing much other than this is actually a pretty, well, if you consider the cost, right, quite worth, because this is basically a 2 stamina point cost, if you sum it up lah. Yeah.
This is not to mean that non-shield characters cannot move and shove. Obviously,
they can.
It's just that
correct.
The cost here is combined, right?
Correct. So if you are a normal character and you want to do the exact same thing, right, you're actually not wasting, but you're expending 2 stamina point, one to move, and one to either grapple or shove.
Right.
Unless you have somehow leftover movement speed, and then you just use that instead. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the fourth skill here. Fourth skill. So this is the one that is shown in the card here, right? This is Payback.
So Payback, reactive, technique, stamina point cost here is 1. Requires 2 point to be spent in the mastery cost before you can learn this. So
right. So this is a rank 2 skill.
Shields up and either intervention or shield charge.
Yep.
Then you need to be wielding a shield, and the learning point / mastery point cost here is 1. Yeah. So what it does is react when you take damage from a melee strike or melee blast, and you deal the amount of damage taken back to the attacker. So what this actually entails, right, is when you receive a melee strike, so that is so strike is a new thing in here, where strike is a basic attack roll, so like a 2d6. So and you have your variants and stuff like that lah. Yeah, but we will not go into that because it's not as relevant here. Or melee blast. So do note that both has the key tag here, melee.
Yes.
So you can't do this on a range attack or range blast, range strike, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So then you deal the amount of damage taken back to the target attacker. So this is kind of intervention, but not intervention, where you take damage and then you do something to it. So for example, you could actually chain this with intervention actually, because this is the trigger condition here is react where you take damage, and if you somehow take damage from intervention, you can immediately use payback.
Yep.
So but do take note that this means that the amount of damage, right, is because you have already taken the damage. This means that you have already went through your armor mitigation and stuff like that already. So means that the damage taken is the final amount. So for example, an example here is that if you are receiving a 6 damage hit and you have 3 armor, you take 3 damage, right? Payback does 3 damage.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now it goes back to the target, and if the target has more mitigation, yes, he gets mitigated again. Right. So there's quite a lot of like nuances to Payback itself. So it's a reaction, you need to take damage, and it must be from like melee attacks, melee, blasts and all that stuff like that. Right. Which means that it is a very niche skill. It is a skill that is conditional, and you don't use it that often per se, but when you do, it can be very, very, very efficient, right? So the reasoning why we said that is that Payback is a skill that you want to place yourself in the midst of danger, right? And you want to take some damage. So this might be a little bit counterintuitive depending on where you're coming from, but in AoA, right, because armor types scale from more evasion to more armor. So you can choose to actually just pick an armor type that has less armor, take a little bit more damage, and be more efficient with your reflections. On the other hand, this also means that if you are a shield character and you are fighting someone who has armor penetration, like he has a lot of armor penetration, your armor is not doing much, right? This means that when you take that hit, you can just deflect most of it back, like it's fine, right? And you can deflect the whole attack back to the target, right? Which can be very powerful against larger monsters, especially, right? Because most large monsters, like physically large, right? They typically come with some level of penetration to represent, like, their overwhelming weight crushing you and breaking your armor, right? So generally, if a large creature is going to be attacking you and it's going to be cutting through your armor anyway, right? I might as well pay them back, right? Which is the namesake of the skill, right? So in that point, it comes in, you dash in, maybe you intervened on behalf of an ally, and now you're taking this hit. Yeah, screw it, another SP, right? And this whole chain of events, right, can actually happen outside of your turn, right? Because it's a react into a react, right? And if you really want to do something about it, like maybe you don't. Okay, it's not practical to use shields up in this case, but if for some reason you want to shields up, you could technically spend all of your SP outside of your turn,
At
right?
level 3, yes.
Yes, which means that you are going to render yourself SP-less by the time it reaches your turn again, until your turn ends, right? So there is a cost here. It's not free, right? But it allows you to make some very interesting and exciting plays.
Interesting plays, yeah.
Yeah. Potentially good, potentially not very good. It is, but it is something that emboldens the player, like the shield player, right, to go and jump into the midst of combat and really just stand there and tank and defend for your allies, right? Okay. Is there anything else on this point?
So a bit of clarification also for the reflecting the deal the amount of damage back, right? That damage is also treated as a normal attack. But you do not need to ignore the rolling component, so this means that it's auto hit in that sense.
Yes. The reasoning is kind of, we want to reduce the number of rolls, right? Generally in AoE, because there's no damage rolls, so all of your rolls are either you roll to dodge the blast or you roll to strike the guy, right? You make the roll, it goes through already, that's it already, right? And in this case, because you are reacting to the guy's move, we don't want to like complicate the entire process by making you roll again, and there's a chance you miss, and then you're not wasting SP and stuff like that. So to speed up the entire process, if it hits you and they roll, they already succeeded, right? So you're just reflecting their roll back onto them, right? Like it's safe. So in this case, you're guaranteeing it, which also means that if someone is very evasive and they strike you and then you reflect them, you're guaranteeing this damage against an evasive target.
So that is actually the other side of what you were talking about just now, which is like you want to like reflect stuff like that, but it doesn't work against certain creatures. But when you're fighting against very like another, like, so we have like the 3 armor type, right? The cloth, the light, and the heavy, right? So you're fighting like against like the evasive character, which is the cloth armor. This payback might be actually very good, yeah, because of how evasive they were and you were not even able to hit them in the first place. Using payback is basically guaranteeing the damage backwards.
Yes.
If they hit you.
Now, this because payback might not always be very applicable in most conditions, right? So in a scenario where you're playing a character where payback is not very useful, there's always the option to just pick up both intervention and shield charge and proceed straight to the very last skill, right? So with that, let's go on to the very last skill, which will be Ballistic Defense. Now this is a very big passive, and I think there are some strange interactions that are very cool that can come out of this skill. So what is Ballistic Defense?
So Yumi has a single type, which is shield, and this is very weird because just now we were mentioning about how we have very little passive and stuff like that, but this is actually one of the other one passive that we have. So passive here are considered as traits lah. Yeah. So the skill type here is trait, and obviously because it's a passive slash trait, right? There is no standard point cost. The mastery requirement here is 3, which means you need to have 3 skills learned.
Yep.
And like I mentioned, you could either do shield up into intervention or shield charge into payback into here, or you can just take intervention and shield charge instead. So this just means 3 points into the 3. It doesn't mean it must be 0, 1, 2, and then 3. Yeah.
Right.
Just for a bit of clarification in the way the mastery is being learned. And the requirement here is building a shield, and the learning point cost here is 1. So what it actually does, right, is when the creature makes a ranged strike against you and roll a 1, you reflect the projectile back to them. So the exact wording here is, right, ranged strike is the important point, where just now we were looking at Payback, it was a melee, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the other side of the shield stuff lah.
Yep.
And they roll a 1. I don't have to explain that.
Right.
And you reflect the projectile, which means, right, you're reflecting their attack make against you back to them.
Yes.
And this does not require, similar to Payback, you don't have to roll.
Yes, that's right. So it is even though yes, it is a trait, it is a passive, it is not completely a passive because as a player, right, when you are on the table and you're playing the game, when we say passive, we mean that you have to actively participate in this combat.
Right.
So ballistic defense, even though yes, it's a trait, you are paying attention to whether or not range attacks are hitting you. Because if you don't tell me, I'm not gonna on your behalf, but deflect my own attack, right? If I'm the game master, right? So I mean, of course, that is like in good faith or not, right? That's your relationship with your game master. However, if you as a player have ballistic defense, you'll be paying attention to what range strikes are coming your way, right? And whether or not they roll 1. And maybe if you intervene on behalf of another ally and they happen to roll 1, you could deflect that too, right? And you already know the roll, right? You already saw that they rolled a 1 and you can purposely go and deflect them, right? So in this case, yes, it rolls a 1. Now, what does rolls a 1 mean? Our game is 2d6. You roll 2d6s, which means that you have 2 chances to actually roll 1, right?
That is the base.
Yes, baseline, you have 2 chances to roll 1, right? This can go both ways, of course, right? Because if you have 2 chances, you have 2 chances to roll any number. You can roll 2 6s as well. You can roll a great success and a critical success and all that stuff, right? And it is also possible that someone rolls like a 6 and a 1, right? But as long as the condition here is as long as they roll a 1, you're going to reflect their projectile back to them, right? This is range strike, which means it's going to be a projectile. All range attacks are projectiles. If there's no projectile, it's not range. It will just be a distance. It won't be a range anymore, right?
And range, there's a different class which is range blast.
Yes,
but that's not a projectile.
Yes, you can't deflect
it's not
like an
usually
area.
A projectile.
Right.
It can be, but yeah.
So range blast will be
and you
things
can
like,
so basically this cannot deflect fireball.
Yes, it can't deflect a fireball. That's right. What if the guy did a range strike with more than 2 dice? So exactly, that's what we're about to get to right now. So it says rolls a 1, right? That means that if you roll multiple dice in the case of advantages and disadvantages, it doesn't care what the result is. As long as you roll a 1, you are going to reflect this range strike back to them. Right? So this means this is a direct counter to bow guys because they roll a lot of dice, right? You are stacking like 4 dices, 5 dices of your
Easily
shots.
4 or 5.
Yeah, easily 4 or 5.
And that's without any like other support characters doing any
That's
like
right. That's
stuff
right.
like that. Yeah.
So if you're playing a bow character and you see a shield guy, you be careful.
Yeah, just don't shoot him.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's not a
Yeah,
choice, right?
yeah.
You shoot an enemy, you shoot the wizard, and the shield guy runs over there like, oh, screw you, right? So yes, it can be quite a hard counter, right? Which means that these are things that as a player you might want to figure out other solutions around this shield guy, right? Potentially that could be getting your melee friend to go deal with him instead, rather than you as a ranged character trying to take down this shield guy. Because I think it's only fair, right? Like naturally, if you have a shield, you're probably going to be better against a projectile, right? Like that's the whole point of the shield, right? You're stopping arrows, yeah. So that's kind of like the core fantasy. Like you have your shield guy, your this is mainly like the phalanx fantasy, right? So in your like Spartan wars, right? Or what was it? Like the Romans and the Greeks keep their shield up. Projectile comes over and flick, goes all the way back. Could be like a javelin, could be a firebolt, could be any range strike, right? It flies and hits back to the target, right? So when it comes to whether or not it hits the target, actually, so this will be, they will take whatever their own roll was and roll against themselves. So if their evasion is high, then yeah, it misses. It might miss, right? If the evasion is low, then it will hit themselves, right? So if they roll really high and then they got a 1 there, so in the case of like an advantage, you roll multiple 6s and then you roll 1-1, bam, you critical success yourself.
So do note that this is a reflect. So this means that you're not taking any damage at all.
Yes. This is not payback.
Correct.
Right? You are not reflecting. You're not taking the damage first. You're just shooting the projectile back.
So this does not actually kind of work with any skill that requires you to take damage, lah.
Yeah.
Because you don't take any.
Right.
Yeah.
And another factor here is also this does not require anything. This does not have a SP cost. Right. So you can stand in the middle of like a sea of arrows, right? And if all of them roll once, you just deflect all of them, right? Yeah. You literally just deflect. if an enemy is shot over in a catapult and he's considered a ranged projectile, right? I'm gonna deflect this guy if the guy who shot a catapult rolled a 1. Right? I'm gonna shoot this guy back to the catapult. Now, is that practical or realistic? No. But it's cool, so we're gonna allow that, right? Rules as written, yes, you can deflect the guy if he counts as a range strike, which a catapult probably would count as a range strike.
Yeah.
Unless it's an AoE thing. If it's an AoE thing, then it's probably not a range strike. Right. Yeah. A ballista maybe.
Ballista probably,
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, that is ballistic defense. Is there anything else here?
So do note that because you can chain if you have if you're level 3, right, you have multiple staminas and you want to just intervention like 3 times in a row. This means you can actually ballistic defense 3 times in a row as well. If those are 3 range strikes. Yeah.
Right.
So because there is no cost tied to this, and it is just when it rolls against you, and when you do an intervention, it's against you. In that sense. Is it? Okay, let me double check.
Yeah, roll against you. That's right.
Actually, I think should be, yeah.
Yeah. So when it makes a range strike against you, and in the case of intervention, yes, you are going there, and the strike is gonna hit you, right? So you are gonna deflect the thing. Right? So that does count. In the case of things that trigger, so for example, in this case, I'm gonna go on the bow guy again. So the bow guy has black powder shot, right? Black powder shot is you shoot an arrow and then there's a bomb on the arrow and he sticks on the guy and explodes, right? So if you shoot that at the shield guy and then the shield guy is like, oh, you rolled a 1, I'm gonna hit the bow thing back to you, right? So it means it shoots the bomb arrow back to them and it sticks them with the bomb, right? And then it explodes upon them as well, right? So it whatever the projectile can do to you, you can reflect it back, right? The entire effect. That could be the sticking component, that could be everything on it, right? If they use signal flare on the bow, yes, you signal flare the guy himself, right? So whatever you can think about that makes sense to deflect a projectile, it works. Strike, specifically strike.
As long as the component has range strikes, I think this basically always applies. So this is going back to the part where I was saying the attacks here are made in a way where it's as clear as possible. So here we say range strike. If you go back and watch the VOD for the archery one, right, you will see that most of them have range strike as the text itself.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's very clear
like
that these are all basically. So it's very clear that all this is actually referring directly to that. Yeah.
Right. Tags are a key, kind of like it's a keyword, right?
Basically. It's a keyword, yeah.
It's a keyword. It's meant to highlight that these things are meant to be related to each other, right? And simplify, straightforward, make sure everybody understands the wording of. Because this is one of those things where I think other games have done very well, and one of the places that haven't done very well is actually D&D itself. Because like D&D, even though they use certain wordings here and there, it can be quite ambiguous sometimes and up for interpretation because it's not clear that this is a keyword. Is it just a phrasing, like a way they're saying these?
Or is it a one-time usage thing?
Yeah, or is this something that they have never used anywhere else in any of their spell descriptions? Like here it is, right? So we want to be very clear here that these keywords are meant to mean something, and in the rulebook, there's a full list, like a glossary of all the different properties and tags and everything, right? Exactly what they mean. There should be no confusion as to what a highlighted word, which is a keyword, is supposed to be, right? If it's a number, it's also highlighted, so you should know what a number is now, right? So that is the very last skill, Ballistic Defense. So let's take a quick look back at every single skill that we've reviewed so far, right? So now onto the Sentinel Mastery. So we're going through everything, right? So we have 5 skills: Shields Up, Intervention, Shield Charge, Payback, and Ballistic Defense, right? So skill number 1 was Shields Up. Instant skill, you put up a shield, you're blocking, happens anytime, it's on demand, right? When you are going to end your turn, you can shield up. When you're going to intervene for someone and you just need a little bit more armor, you can shield up. So this happens at any time, right? Skill number 2, intervention, right? Which is that you react when someone takes damage. So you go over there and you take that damage instead, right? And then skill number 3, which is shield charge. So this is the more active, the one where you are doing something instead of reacting to someone else, right? So you move to the guy and you grapple and shove the guy. And grapple and shove are both might blast, which uses your might strength, right? So whatever your might is determines how difficult it is for the enemy to escape your grapple or to resist your shove, right? So grappling, you grab the guy, you restrain him, right? And then shove, you shove him, right? Shove him 5 feet away, right? So single SP cost, charge to him, grapple, shove him. Grapple or shove him, not both. Right? It'd be very weird if you grapple him and then you shove him away from yourself. Right. So skill number 4 here, payback. Payback is a reaction when you get hit by a sword. So this is the whole idea where like you're fighting and then you hit, and then the hammer comes and hits you and then it crushes you back, and you smack the guy back with your shield. Right. So whatever damage you take, you react and then you hit it back. Right. I should note here that we did mention blast, right? So melee blast means that if, for example, someone were to do like some kind of like an AoE swing, which is present in another mastery which we haven't talked about yet, right? You can actually reflect that damage back as well, right? So that's what melee blast is, which is not super common, but it is there, right? And the very last skill here is Ballistic Defense, which is when a creature makes a ranged strike against you and rolls a 1, you reflect the projectile back to them, right? So it is a ballistic and you defend yourself, right? Straight back to their face, right? And so that is all of the Sentinel Mastery. And let's swap back here. So I hope that with all the skills gone through and all the different interactions that are possible, right? You see kind of like what our vision in AoA is for shield characters, right? Because traditionally, yes, at the start I mentioned, like playing shield characters really suck in role-playing games. Like it feels bad.
You're not playing a shield character, you're just playing someone with a shield.
Exactly. Like you're paladin, you're like a fighter, you have a shield and the shield is just AC. Right? It doesn't do anything.
You're not okay. Most players don't take shield for the shield. They're taking it for. They're basically taking it for the two AC.
Right, they're taking it for the
They're
AC.
not taking it for like a fantasy stuff like that. They're not.
It becomes purely like a passive thing, right? You're not even thinking, it's just a stat. It's not a weapon. You don't actively participate in this thing, and thus, like realistically, if you want to play a shield character, like what does a shield mean? Is a shield just to take less damage, or do you actually do something with your shield, right? Like in practice, if you are doing like HEMA, like historical European martial arts, right, or just about anybody who's using a shield up, right? You're not going to just hold the shield up like that. It's not very practical. If someone hits you, you're just going to go around your shield, right? So realistically, if you were to use a shield, shields are very active things. You are moving your shield, you're moving around, you're deflecting, you're parrying, you're blocking, and then you have to move and then attack, right? You can't just move and then you don't attack anything, right? So it makes sense that when you have a shield, it should be an active skill set, right? It should be a bunch of things where you decide, like, okay, in this moment, I'm going to block, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to do this action that would allow me to further mitigate damage instead of just having a shield passively mitigate damage, which it still does. It still does in AoE, but not in the same way that it traditionally does, right?
But also do note that we will also, in the future when we design other skills, right, we'll also be looking into the other like shield fantasy. So for example, like the Phalanx Mastery also. The Phalanx like fantasy. So like heavy shield, I don't actually move much, like the very tanky kind of character. That is also something that we will look into in the future. But for the basics right now, these are our focus for Sentinel.
Think more gladiator, right? But on that note, just because it's focused on the Phalanx fantasy where you are not mobile, does not mean you're not active.
Yes.
Right? You're still choosing to take actions. You're still choosing and making decisions in the middle of combat. You're not just I have 2 AC, right? It is not that case, right? Of course, yes, shields up is literally I have 2 AC, but you have to spend
you have to decide to spend the 1 SP.
Yes, you have to decide to get that 2 AC in that moment.
So basically, most things are not quote unquote free.
They are free, but you as a player must pay attention, right? So they can be free in the sense of Ballistic Defense, right? Ballistic Defense is free, right? And I think there are quite a lot of instances of interesting gameplay for Sentinel Mastery in all of our playtests. I think every time Sentinel is played in our playtest, something cool has happened, right? And it's usually like some kind of like it could be like a joke moment or a heroic moment, or it could be a bunch of things, right? Because the very fact that Sentinel is reactive, right? You get to deny a lot of things.
It also has the quote-unquote higher conversion mastery. So what I meant by that is like when other people play with someone else who played Sentinel, right? We usually get like feedback that say they want to try Sentinel next time.
Yes, that's true.
That's kind of especially high for Sentinel.
Mm.
Yeah, compared to like other mastery that we have. Like, so like, I think the next one was like bow and dagger also.
Yeah. I think both.
And there's one more. There's
I
also
think
that
inspiration
one.
also.
Yeah, inspiration. Also,
Yeah.
yeah.
Those are the main ones that I think the reason why they are so popular is also because these are fantasies, right, that are not well served.
Not
like-
explored as much as well.
Yeah. I think exploit is one thing, but I think
Mm.
they're not designed
Mm.
in with kind of like a skill set in mind in TTRPGs,
Mm.
right? I think in this case, MMOs have done a very good job, and this is where we are taking a lot of
Mm.
influence from, right? Which is how do we make whatever class you're playing or your class fantasy, right? No, it's not a class, right? Your class fantasy as active as possible, right? Because we don't want people to just sit around a table and just be passive. Right. This is a real life activity where you're sitting around a table of 4 to 5 people, right? Or maybe even more, right? Ideally, as much as possible, we want everybody who's at the table playing AOA as a TTRPG to be participating. And in combat, usually when it's not your turn, you're not paying attention, right? So that means that we want to create as much of a skill set in which people can actively take part or pay attention to something happening on the field, right? There are multiple ways that we have done that, right? One is the initiative, but the main thing is actually the mastery design here, right? So with shield design, with inspiration, like traditionally, like a bard is like, okay, I'll give you one inspiration and then I'm good, right? And they may cast like passive things, but generally they're not paying attention in the midst of the round itself. They may cast things like, like Vicious Mockery or cast a spell, right? But that's not really a bard moveset at that point. That's just a half spell caster kind of thing, right? So in the same logic here, when you're playing a shield character, it has to be active. It has to be like I am running around, I'm defending, right? If you're looking at like a cinematic, imagine you're watching like a cinematic of a game, right? If the shield guy, right, just stands there and block, right, you don't want to play the character. Like what? Why am I playing this guy if I'm not even playing a game at that point, right? So yeah, that is our goal with the shield design.
Quite Sentinel.
Yeah. Specifically, okay, it's not specifically Sentinel, but it is the most apparent in Sentinel.
Yeah.
Right? Like it is extra prevalent in Sentinel because traditionally it is completely passive. Yeah. So with the Sentinel Mastery, I think what are some of the highlights that we've had with in playtest in Sentinel Mastery?
I think intervention was the most used skill.
Yeah, it's
obviously,
mostly with intervention, right? It's like
also because intervention was one of the first few skills that we had.
Yeah, we had it in playtest very early on.
Intervention didn't change. It only had the addition of grapple or shove. Like I think previously it was only shove or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was just shove.
It was only just shove.
It was just shove.
It was a very weird thing where I want to catch up, but I can't.
Right.
So how do I actually...
That's why we added the grapple.
Yeah, that's why we added the grapple, like what you mentioned. Yeah. But I think it had the highest like pick rate, I guess. It had the highest pick rate, and then I think there was a lot of cool interaction when we introduced in the payback and stuff like that, where the damage wasn't high per se, but it was a very like cinematic moment where I come in and then I just hit the guy.
Right. Especially when it's a killing blow, right? Like imagine someone smacking you with a hammer and you just you smack the hammer back at the guy and it hits him and he just dies.
Basically, why do you die to yourself?
Like why are you hitting yourself, man? Right. I think that is having that kind of fantasy is very interesting. Right. Yes, mechanically it is very simple. You're just doing the damage back to the guy. But the very idea of it,
correct.
I think that is
so there's also something that we are kind of trying to incorporate as much as possible, which is like cinematic moments and like moments where you have a very heroic stand in that sense. So you have certain skills that's like that. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, Payback still is very good. Correct. But it really depends on how I mean this is basically every mastery like and every skill.
Extremely conditional.
Correct. It's extremely conditional. So it is really good or it's kind of average.
Yeah, it could be bad, it could be good.
But most of the skills we are trying to do is they are not ignore skill where you don't pick them at all. Stuff like that. And that is also tied to the one of the key features that we have in the mastery selection, which is you can also respect if you want to. But of course you cannot respect out of the mastery that you have chosen and you can only have 3 maximum mastery.
Yes. So you can treat this kind of like preparing your spells.
Mm.
Where you at the start of a adventuring day, you can choose, okay, maybe I don't need ballistic defense and payback today. Maybe I just need intervention, right? Which means I only need 2 points in Sentinel Mastery. We actively encourage, in fact, it's basically compulsory lah, because you have to take a defensive mastery. So we actively encourage players to pick different mastery combinations and try them out, right? Now you can unspec, but you can't unlearn. So if you have already picked Sentinel Mastery, you are now stuck with at least 1 point in Sentinel. You can't remove all of your points because that doesn't make sense. Like you're playing a character and then suddenly, I forgot how to use my shield. Like no, that's not how it works. So that's the only condition to the respecking concept.
That's the rules that we have stated.
Yeah, but that does bring me on to another point, which is that Sentinel Mastery has quite a lot of interesting mastery combination options as well, right? Because Sentinel Mastery, a lot of the bulk of the skills, right, is actually in the first 2 points.
Yeah.
Right. It's in shields up and it's in intervention, shield charge. Everything after that just makes you a better shield guy, yes. But realistically, you only need those 2 points, which means you open up yourself to a bunch of other points you can put into your main weapon, right? Because of course, if you're a shield guy, you probably want something in your other hand, right? Like unless you're holding a shield in 2 hands, like this guy over here, right? So
which may be a thing.
It could be, yeah. Like exactly like the example I have inside the description was to just use a shield, right? Which you can use all your SP doing shield things, but realistically you probably want something to hit the guy with, right? Like unless
that's not your shield.
Yeah, that is not your shield. It could be a shield, but ideally not your shield, right? So this could be combinations like your traditional stuff, right? Using weapons, using swords, using maces, using axes, all those normal one-handed weapons.
I think the best combination with like offhand, off weapon spec is actually dagger.
On that point, yes. Are you able to intervene when you have 0 movement speed from Frost? No.
Yes, because it states you have 0 movement
Okay,
speed.
there is one condition. There's one exception, which is that if your ally is standing right next to you, you're not moving.
Yeah, you're not moving.
You're just putting your shield over there. Like, yeah, technically you can just like, I'm gonna block you, right? So that's possible. But no, you can't move because it uses your movement speed. It was 0.
So actually, Frost kinds of counter a few mastery. So like dagger is one and shield is actually the other.
Yeah, I think Frost especially counters shield in this sense, right? Because most shield characters are not going to have high evasion.
Correct.
So your Frost attacks are going to hit most of the time. You're just going to keep reducing the movement speed.
They're going to hit you, but are they going to? They're also going to tickle you also.
Yeah, but you can't move.
You can't move. So
you're just like stuck there,
Yeah.
Right. It also does bring me on to the point where if you want to really amp up the mobility, shield dagger.
Yeah.
So just like you mentioned, shield dagger, right? Shield dagger is a concept that is very unexplored.
It's surprisingly good combination.
It is a very good combination. But if you were to play I think even in most fantasy games, most media, you'll never hear of like the shield and dagger guy. Right. Maybe like a small buckler, maybe you might think about it, right?
But it'll be like double dagger instead.
Yeah, like traditionally it's like double dagger, or they hold a dagger and their hand is like doing something else, Or maybe you use like a rapier and a dagger or sword a dagger, right?
Or like casting, focus, stuff like that.
Yeah. So the whole concept of like shield, dagger, right? This kind of like mercenary, you're wearing like medium armor, you're running fast, you're high mobility. If you have checked our Swift Edge Mastery board, right, you have seen that we have a bunch of different mobility skills that scale the movement speed as well on the Swift Edge, which means that both your shield and your dagger skills scale to movement speed, right? You are gonna fling straight across all around the different parts of the battlefield by using a shield charge here, an assassinate there, your blood seeking here, and then you're gonna there's a whole bunch of things that you can possibly do with that combination, right? And these are the type of combinations that we want to encourage people who pick up the game. When you look at different masteries, right, instead of thinking about like, I'm just gonna go like fighter barbarian, right? Like think about exactly what do you envision your character to be. Is like realistically, we don't currently fully encourage multiple different weapon types. Like don't go for 3 weapon types because you only have 2 hands, right? But we do encourage you to mix and match as much as possible to achieve exactly what you're trying to achieve. In the sense that, let's just say you want to play like Cloud from Final Fantasy, right? He's technically not just a swordsman, right? He has magic, maybe he has some healing, and then he's wearing a specific type of armor, right? So you're gonna mix and match as much as possible, and ideally get some level of synergy upon them, right? Which I think most skills have some level of synergy. Yeah, almost masteries specifically, right? So that is our goal with the mastery system in general, right? And I think with the shield mastery, it is very simple to achieve that, right? Now, should you be using intervention if you have very little HP and you are a backline spellcaster? Probably not. Right? That's probably not a wise choice. You don't have much might. Maybe don't pick that. Maybe just pick one point in the shield if you want. Just for the defense and the shields up. But even then, that's useful. I think that's valid.
I mean, you could also use shield charge on your allies.
That's true.
Correct.
They're not going to be very happy, lah. Right?
I mean, you can shove them 5 feet for no reason.
You just push them 5 feet.
Yeah.
You can push them 5 feet forward, right? But on that note, I think one interesting combo is the very mastery that we just talked about previously, which is Frost, right? So Frost, traditionally, if you were to take a hit while you're channeling, you will lose your concentration if you fail, right? So having high armor, having a shield, right? Maybe having shields up is able to boop, and I ignore the channel. I ignore the hit, and then I don't break my channel.
Frost users would also like to have a shield guy because they can take the damage for you.
Yes,
and
also
it doesn't
true. Also
break
true.
your channeling.
Right.
Yeah.
So imagine like you're like Elsa or some shit, and you have like your tank warrior, your Brom, he's jumping in front of you, right? So those are some of the possible combinations, right? And we are currently, I think, like 8 out of 12 or 9 out of 12. So I mean, with this will be the ninth mastery, right? And so with that, there's 3 more masteries coming up, right? And hopefully by the time you see all of the masteries, you have a bunch of ideas as to the different combinations that you can possibly have playing Aeons of Adventure, right? So and with that, I think, is there anything else we want to cover?
No. I think that is pretty much all we have for Sentinel specifically lah. So a few like pointer here is actually just like it's something that is not kind of never done before, and we are just pretty happy with how it turned out lah.
I mean, one thing is that as you have seen all of the, so you can go through all the VODs previously. You don't have to watch the whole VOD. You can just go to the part where I show you a screenshot of all of the different skills. And you can just take a look at the different skills that we have already reviewed, right? And start thinking about some of the possible combinations that are there, right? At some point, I'll probably do like a condensed like overview video, but that will probably take a little bit of time because I'm gonna edit that, right? I'm not gonna just clip that one, so that one's gonna be a bit difficult. But until then, you can just check whatever's on the board, right? Maybe I should just post an image. I guess that's fine also. Yeah. Okay. And so with that, we have come to the end of the 14th episode of Tiny Table Talk. This episode has been about the Sentinel Mastery, and it is for our upcoming TTRPG Aeons of Adventure. So the link to the pre-launch page of the Kickstarter is in the description below, along with our X, Instagram, Facebook group, Discord channel, and of course this YouTube channel itself. Please like, subscribe, and leave your comments if you like the mastery, you don't like the mastery, you think it sucks, you think it's great, whatever it is, just leave it down there, right? And maybe I will answer them in a stream also, right? And so with that, I have been Jon.
I'm Deyang.
And I'm signing out.